I suppose if I had any regrets about having spent so much time in the studio, it would be that, the disconnection. Not being able to take in as much living as one would like.
He comes in, he gives everything he's got to the project. The same, he'll come along with a record that he's just made or a song that he's just written, and he'll let us tear into it too. And we are, if you saw the process, you would be aghast because we kill each other.
Your mother.
No, she's not 40 yet. Not till Friday. Not till Friday. Friday
makes me feel better.
Cousin, peux-tu dire à ma belle? Cousin, peux-tu dire à ma belle? Cousin, peux-tu dire à ma belle que je vais jamais retourner?
I've always felt like an outsider, and I'm not sure exactly the reason. Part of it surely must be because I grew up in Quebec and then was sort of transplanted as a 10-year-old. You're going to live here now. And to learn a new language, and I never felt comfortable with the adaptation. And although I grew up in this place, Ontario, I never, fully connected with the culture. And I'm still running now. Maybe I should just go back to Quebec. I might find it there.
Y'a quelqu'un qui appelle mon nom. Y'a quelqu'un qui appelle mon nom. On travaille aujourd'hui, on travaille sous la pluie, on travaille au tabac esti. Donnez-nous l'esprit, l'esprit du corps, on travaille au tabac, Marie.
And you pray to Mary for the whole thing to come to a stop.
Le bleu du ciel a changé, le bleu du ciel a changé. Après 40 jours et 40 nuits, on peut pas travailler au tabac. Y'a quelqu'un qui appelle mon nom. Y'a quelqu'un qui appelle mon nom. On travaille aujourd'hui, on travaille sous la pluie, on travaille au tabac.
I feel French-Canadian. I think it's the part of Canadian culture that had perhaps the greatest impact on me. My father played violin, and so did the grandfather. I remember a lot of music going on around weekend family events. You know, people come over to the house, and there'd be a dinner, and then out would come the fiddles and tap dancing with spoons and that. So there was quite a bit of that in Quebec. It's not unlike Ireland in that respect. Somebody just comes over, and somebody else comes over, and before you know it, you got a party, and you didn't want one.
Husband, we used to get drunk. on some days, at the end of the day, we couldn't walk. You knew Noella's husband, Rayon? Yeah. She used to drink. Amy used to drink pure rum.
My side of the family, we're not musical. We can sing, yes, but musical, no. I do believe Dan has that from his dad. We were talking about that a little while ago, and his dad was a great guy to play violin, and his grandfather Lanois, that was something. Name it, and it was mostly reels and dancing music, and but he had it in him. You know, his eyes were going and his arms were going, and he was gone when he was playing violin.
Manon, tu connais la petite chanson Le Cordonnier?
Oui. Ah oui, ça c'est bon, ça.
Quand il allait au cabaret, quand il allait au cabaret.
Quand il allait au cabaret, quand il allait au cabaret.
Sa chopinette, il lui fallait, sa chopinette, il lui fallait.
Sa chopinette, il lui fallait, sa chopinette, il lui fallait.
Battait sa femme à coups de bâton, battait sa femme à coups de bâton.
Battait sa femme à coups de bâton, battait sa femme à coups de bâton.
Il la battait si juste,
Il la battait si juste,
il la battait si drette,
il la battait si drette,
il la battait si drette, pas plus qu'il en fallait.
il la battait si drette, pas plus qu'il en fallait. Hey, ça va
Hey, Daniel, tu vas me voir dans cette...
I first came to New Orleans as a tourist to find out a little bit about the music of the city, learn about the beat and the bass, a lot of the bottom end of records. Some of the best bottom end has come from this part of the world. And as somebody who's interested in rhythm and the beat, I wanted to just be here and learn about it.
Indian Red is a song that I first heard by the Wild Chapatulas, which is essentially the Neville brothers with their uncle, Uncle Jolly. Indian Red is not unlike some of the French-Canadian songs in the sense that they have a leader that calls, that states a line that is then responded to by a group of people. The French-Canadian ones are usually in unison, whereas Indian Red, as I know it anyhow, has a lot of harmony in it.
Mighty, 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 coup de faillot. Hela, hey, hela, hey. Mighty, mighty, coup de faillot. Hela, hey, hela, hey. Mighty, 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 coup de faillot. Hela, hey, hela, hey.
Then the chance came to work with the Neville brothers, which for me was like an extension of this possible education. I certainly understood that they had the potential to make a great record. They had the ability and the resources, and what I could offer was some kind of focus and direction. And we did a record, and it's the record called Yellow Moon. And it was actually Aaron Neville that suggested to me that he always loved this Bob Dylan song called God on Our Side. And I said, well, let's listen to this song, and we might even try to cut a version for the album. It was like an outside possibility. For the Neville Brothers to do a Bob Dylan song is not the most obvious choice.
But you don't count the day when goes on your side. Through many dark hours, I've been thinking about this. But Jesus Christ was betrayed by a kiss, but I can't think for you. You have to decide whether Judas Iscariot had God on his side. Oh, now as I'm leaving, I'm weary as hell. The confusion I'm feeling, ain't no tongue can tell. But the words fill my head, and they fall to the floor. That if God's on our side, He'll stop the next war. Jesus loves me, this I know. Thank you.
When I was working with the Neville Brothers, Bob Dylan was passing through New Orleans doing a show. And he dropped in on the session, and I played him a few things, including our version of God on Our Side. And he was knocked out with it. And I think that sort of strengthened our relationship. And he thought that if I could do that for the Neville Brothers on one of his songs, perhaps then I would be the choice to work on his new upcoming record. I had pretty much decided to not work in New Orleans. I wanted to go somewhere else to do a record. And I talked to Bob on the phone. I said, wouldn't it be nice to be up in Santa Fe? He says, no, you can't make a record in Santa Fe. It's too high, the altitude. He says, you can't sing up that high. He says, you want someplace that's like closer to the ground. I said, well, you know, we're below sea level here, so why don't we just stay right here? So we made the record in New Orleans.
I was thinking of a series of dreams where nothing comes up to the top. Everything stays down when it's wounded and comes to a permanent stop. Wasn't thinking of anything specific.
We got a brand new location for him just to keep things fresh. And we had set up quite a big operation, you know, with a piano room and then a band room and a drum booth with sandbags up to the ceiling, and we put a lot of time into it. Then we started the record, and we never got out of the kitchen. The whole record happened in the kitchen. When I decided to make my own record, somewhat subconsciously, I made a decision to go back to what I know the best. And that involves acoustic instruments, traditional melodies, and what am I going to sing about? Okay. I've had interesting enough a life that I can draw from my own experiences, I thought. And that's what I decided to do, and that's what I did. Inspiration can come in the strangest places.
Have been walking down the street and like a tune comes in your head and you wish you had a pen and paper?
Song ideas can come just sort of walking on the street. Like you'll see somebody and you'll think, what an interesting life they have, and you can actually imagine yourself doing what they do. And you sort of fictionize, you imagine a story, but then you blend the fiction with something from your own life, and the two can merge into a nice song. I often write like that.
Marie-Claire, j'ai marché toute la soirée. Ton portrait toujours près de mon cœur. Je veux te dire que je t'ai rêvé tout l'été. Marie-Claire, s'il te plaît, n'aie pas peur. I bought you some colors to paint with on the nights when it's cold outside. And I'll shoot that blue-eyed son of a bitch, 'cause it's me who'll have you for his bride. Marie-Claire, it's no good la vie d'une danseuse. Tous les yeux, they're on you, I can't stand. Don't you know that you are my amoureuse? Marie-Claire, let them all be damned. My hands have bled to the bone. I brought you a drawing to see of the cabin made of sticks and stones, and there you will learn to love me. Marie-Claire, j'ai salé beaucoup de poissons, et les bois du Nord maintenant sont tranquilles. Je te promets de ne pas boire la boisson. Oublie-le, Montréal, la vieille ville. As I lay you there on the back seat, all in white there dans mon char. Take your time, Marie-Claire, and sleep, 'cause I'm bringing you to Labrador.
I just wrote that. J'ai écrit ça, wrote that 8 months ago. Yeah. Story of a trapper in Labrador in the woods who falls in love with a stripper in Montreal, and he makes a decision that she will be his wife, but she doesn't know it. So
Surprise!
Surprise! Big surprise! This is talking about a guitar playing marathon. Now look at the face on this kid. That's a very, very, like, native looking face.
Sure is, I would say.
You know, Graham, we We did a little research in the family, and on my mother's side, it's been verified that one of the relatives is Indian, was Indian. And this kid looks Indian to me. Pretty early on around the house, we had a tape recorder. It was a very old-fashioned thing. It was one of those that, you know, you bring to the kitchen table and you press record, and people record their voices and hear them back and are fascinated at how they really sound. This started a little recording studio in the laundry room of my mother's house. We were very serious about it. We set up a 4-track studio, and we put posters up around town. You know, $60 would guarantee you a demo tape. And bands started calling up, and before we knew it, we had this little business going, my brother Bob and I.
There came a point when it was clear we had outgrown the facility in the basement of my mother's house, and we bought a building in Hamilton down the hill. And that was the beginning of Grant Avenue Studio. In retrospect, it might have been nice to have had the vision to move to New York, where the business actually is. But this is what we did.
Building Grant Avenue. We made an effort to hang on to the old. We put a 16-track studio in that studio, and went on to make a lot of records. The folk clientele kept growing, and we did quite a few country and gospel folk records in that location. And that's where I met Brian Eno. When Brian Eno and I first started working together, we would spend weeks on end experimenting, manipulating sound. It was really a great time for me to be exposed to that kind of concentration. And Brian has been a friend and a teacher ever since then, having exposed me to some valuable chances, i.e. working with you two.
Originally, when we approached Brian Eno to produce us, he said, look, I've retired from producing rock and roll records. I'm moving on to working with video. And there's a guy called Daniel Lanois I'd like you to meet. He's a young guy. He's worked with me for the last 5-10 years. And I think he should produce you, not me. So we cooked up an idea, which was, let's build the studio around the band. Let's find a room where the band feel comfortable and feel at ease with each other and their instruments and the sound they're making, and let the recording take place around that. And Eno said, look, Daniel Lanois has been doing exactly the same thing, almost perfectly in sync with what you're talking about. You've got to meet him. This is more than a coincidence.
So next thing we know, we're on the plane, and we're heading off to Dublin. And the plan was, okay, Brian's not going to produce the record, but he's going to introduce me to the band because I'm interested. I'm ready to go, you know. I'm ready to hook into a project. I had been experimenting with unusual locations for recording already in Canada before meeting you two. So we were all very excited about this possibility of finding hallways and ballrooms and reception rooms, nooks and crannies that have interesting sonic possibilities. And Slane Castle was like an amazing place. It really gave us a chance to experiment with all those ideas.
I don't know if Danny will work with us again, because I think we almost killed him on the last record. We took him to Berlin. Took him to Berlin in, in sub-zero temperatures, and played this very heavy industrial music to him for a period of months. And I think he thought he was going insane, but it was, let me assure you, a grand madness.
I'd like to introduce you to somebody who contributed more than a lot to this next song. Looking for Monsieur Daniel Lanois, s'il vous plaît. Our good friend and producer, Spotlight.
Achtung Baby had quite a few different stages to it. It began as a collection of jams. That's how U2 write initially. You know, they get something going as a band, and then if it feels good, then Bono will put a vocal on top of it, and that's how their songs begin. So initially there was that collection of great feeling moments. They also knew that they wanted to make a different record that incorporated their enthusiasm for rhythm, and perhaps their audience has seen only sort of one angle of U2. But as you know, they are people that love to have fun, enjoy many aspects of what music has to offer. And they did the one part of their music through the 80s. They did it very well. And generally it was high-spirited, powerful, with a message, sometimes with a fist in the air. Now, there comes a time when you've said that, and you don't want to do it anymore.
I believe in the kingdom come, then all the colors will lead into one, bleed into one. But yes, I'm still running. You broke the bonds, lose the shame, carry the cross, took my shame, Lord. You know I believe it, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Thank you.
I enjoy working on something that then has a life of its own beyond my involvement. It's one of the nice things about working on other people's records. Is, you make your contribution, you give it your best, and then you let go of it. And it's no longer your responsibility. And I think that has an upside to it, you know? Whereas when you're making your own music, writing your own songs, making your own record, you're permanently attached to it. You're responsible for it quite directly as it came from your own head, especially lyrically. So I'm quite happy to have a few little children out there that they're off on their own, and I'm not having to worry about them anymore. They've got their own jobs. I never thought of my music as being a voice that would speak out what was hidden inside. But it's clear to me that now that's what it is. You know, I've had a record out, and I'm doing a second record, and it's very obvious that what you're holding inside you can be released through a record, through song, through stories. On a first record, you have a lifetime to make it. On a second record, you have a deadline. And maybe you have a year or two to write all the songs for a second record. I'm not sure that people think about that very much, but it is a pressure of sorts, so it's, I think they will likely be more spontaneous songs and reflections of what you're going through at that time.
Sounds a little bit abrupt vocally. Acadie was started in a quiet way. This new record was started in a setting of activity, people around, a band working with me. So it's not as quiet. It's not so much of a hear a pin drop record. It's a little more raucous. Stylistically, it's more band-oriented. Everything's a performance, so it's not trying to do it in such a way that things are done quickly. They have a good feel to them. They're done quickly and they're brought to a conclusion pretty much in one day. And then you might spend a little time on the mix, adding this, and that. But the core of it, of any song, that's the spirit of it, done fast. So there'll be a vocal on the track, then somebody will yell, throw a solo, put a solo on it, you know, do a guitar part. Normally I would say, well, I'll do the guitar part when we do the guitar parts, but because somebody there said, do it now, I'll do it. And in the case of the Messenger, the guitar solos on the Messenger, it was like that. Somebody just, Bill yelled, come on, just put on a guitar solo, so we got it. And I really liked the solo. It was done in one take. I won't try and better it now. I can never get away from tradition because I like it and because it's part of me. But I also like experimentation and new sounds, new angles. Because sounds by themselves can pull an emotion from a listener. You know, just a sound. You might think it sounds like dripping water. Bloom, bloom, bloom. Okay, dripping water, that puts you maybe in a dark place on a dark night. You're by yourself and there's water dripping. So just a sound is enough to create a mood, can almost tell a story by itself. If you combined the power of suggestion from sounds with melody, a story, then you could have something real strong.
That'd be good way for me to focus on singing.
Peter Gabriel was about to do a soundtrack for a film called Birdie. He was interested in someone who could manipulate sound and take some of his existing multi-tracks and transform them. That's how the relationship with Peter started. And then another phone call from him, and we went on to do yet another record, which has a song on it called Come Talk to Me. And it's a very simple song about one of his girls, one of his daughters, but it has quite a huge production around it. So a little message to one person could also be interpreted as a more universal message.
Please talk to me. Come on, talk to me. Can I lock this misery? If you'd only talk to me. I did not come to steal. You're so unreal. Can you show me
During a project, there will be a peak moment. There'll be several peak moments, but you'll have your grand peak. That's where you want to finish the record. That's where you want the conclusion to be. If it goes beyond that, you may lose the strength and acquire more ornament. That's a serious mistake. If you end up with something that's not as good as what it can be, but very polished, that's quite a sin artistically. The ability to know where that peak is, it's very important.
I can imagine them breaking out to the silence, all the things we both might say. And the heart, it would not be mine, till we're both on the same damn side. Oh, there is the wrong way. Please talk to me. Won't you please come talk to me? Just like it used to be.
Record production is about results. It's about capturing performances, maximizing the potential of a song. Somebody could walk in with a song on an acoustic guitar, and maybe that's how it sounds best, and that's how it should be recorded. And for them to, to bring in the orchestra and the timpanis and all that, they might be making a mistake and spending a lot of money. So you have to be smart enough to say, oh, it sounds terrific like this, and we'll just do a little of that to it, and that'll be that. On the other hand, such a song may not be right on acoustic guitar. It may be better with a pounding rhythm and a lot of turbulence underneath and so on. So it's a matter of having some kind of idea about the potential of something.
Can you show me how you feel now? Come on, come talk to me. Come talk to me. Come talk to me.
Producing records, I was doing it all along, even from the basement days, but without really knowing that I was doing it and without anybody really asking for my services. What would happen is people would show up and they'd do whatever they could to come out with a tape, and whatever they could involve my participation. I've got a good ear, so I could tune their instruments. I could tell them, maybe you should try this harmony instead of that one. The bass sounds better when, and perhaps on the drums, you should try. Just little things that made sense at the time that sort of helped people along. And then I started getting some requests for an official participation. And then I found out what record production was about, and it became a little more formalized and more of a job.
I know where it is now. It's the pounding of the drum. Border pigs and rockets crushed by the love machine. But don't die. Gonna be someone right there. You're gonna need someone by your side. You're gonna need someone right there.
Gonna Need Somebody is a song that's been in my book for a long time. In rehearsal last week, Bill was playing some chords, and I sort of flipped through my book and saw this thing and started singing on top of it. And it's turned into this really nice little gospel song. And you're gonna need someone that night. Gonna
need someone right there. You're gonna need someone by your side. Gonna need someone there with you.
One of the complications you can run into by producing your own record is that you might run out of enthusiasm on a given track. And if you have people around you coming up with ideas, like with overdubs and so on, it can restore the enthusiasm. It can like spark new interest and keep you motivated. So it's nice to have people around, a sense of companionship and support.
When the celebration comes, and no one knows why, everyone asks a question about the blueless sky. When the rivers stop running and the fish are no friend, the jig keep reeling, pushing you to the end. You're gonna need someone that night. Oh, gonna need somebody there. You're gonna need someone that night. Oh, you're gonna need someone with you. When you're there by the sea in your big open house, all alone in there, cat and mouse. When you're done what you do, and they're kicking down the door, and your palate is thin, laying on the floor, you're gonna need somebody, gonna need someone on that night. Oh, gonna need someone that night.
Sometimes stars, if they have pressure, you know, they turn to drugs or alcohol or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't do that though, do you?
I haven't turned to drugs, and I'm doing a little drinking tonight, but
Sociable though, that's sociable.
I think that I wouldn't call this turning to alcohol yet.
No.
I think I tend to be resourceful under pressure. So on the upside, I might pull something out of the bag that otherwise might remain dormant.
The sea that promises to feed is the flood that will come. The heat that keeps your habit warm is the flame that will burn. Are you wearing your filters? Are you changing your clothes? Are you wearing your colors so that nobody knows? Oh, brother of mine.
I'm enjoying the challenge of live performance these days. There's a kind of fire that happens on stage with the musicians, and playing the music for an audience, it teaches me something about it that otherwise I may never find out.
remember having a conversation with Bono where I said to him, it was in Ireland in one of the pubs, I said to him that I wanted to have an expression of my own. I wanted to have a chance to say something fully on my own. And he thought, well, surely the records that you produce are that, you know, that they are such a part of you that that must be the expression. But I told him that though, in fact, those contributions were just little pieces of me, and that there was a lot more to say than just that.
There's a new song that I'm working on. It's called The Hills of Gatineau. It may be called The Hunter in the end, because it's really a story about somebody who becomes a hunter, gets lost in a city, and then later in life comes back to the forest to rediscover what they had before. So it's quite a passionate number. The track was initially laid down in New Orleans, and it starts in a turbulent, tense, quieter way, and then evolves into a more aggressive guitar performance. That's the bit. The guitar bit is the part that was done back in Hamilton at Grant Avenue Studio. I began playing rock and roll guitar as a teenager, and I'm coming back around to some of that now, and I'm really enjoying it.
Music for me was a chance to direct my energy into something private. I like being by myself. I like the idea of inventing something on my own. And to play an instrument was just that. I can invent my own little melodies. I didn't have to talk to people about it. There was a sense of accomplishment in privacy. I still haven't resolved the problem of transplantation, where this is where I grew up, but it's not my culture. And now going to other places opens up other possibilities for me. I get the domestic pangs every now and again. Like I used to come here and sit in those seats and do some writing. It's exactly as it was, but they've locked the doors. That's it. Definitely the end now.
My hands are wrapped in your raven hair, and a faded picture on the back stair. We were narrow, we were steady, trembling, ready to give it hell in this rocky world. You said, do I look like I could be a strong mother and raise the good side of a young daughter? In the Hotel Shangri-La, let me tell you, I've been thinking of her in this rocky world. Chicago is heavy, but I can't turn around. I'm smuggling that whiskey for flesh and pound. Michigan, I worry, and Susie, I'm sorry that I lost you out there in the rocky world. top of the hill in the still blue air, near the weather vane by the track and train. I'll be looking for you in the rocky world. She's turning 20 and out on the make, pounding the black top with a habit to shake. She's looking for a manger in the eyes of a stranger, down in the streets of a rocky world. Jenny has religion, she sinks in a chair. She's made a decision to color her hair. The black man cut the sugar cane, she watches the rain in a building away from the rocky world. Yeah, I'll tell you something I'll never forget. The sight of you in silhouette outside Sault Ste. Marie. Are you really through me when you pulled me down to your rocky bed? In a crowded room, stood there empty, looking for salvation and glory be, when a shot turned my head and I saw you instead, walking into my rocky world.